Hi everyone. Welcome to this video. I just wanted to try something new with my game development process. Um, I really want to share more of my game development process with you so that you can have a look at what it is for a person like me who is always busy. Even though I'm an independent game developer, it seems like I always have lots of other things going on in my life, including work, personal, family responsibilities, things like that. So I want to show you how someone who does work on making their own games but doesn't have a lot of time might tackle this process. And I think there's lots of people who are in that situation. You can even be a student who's balancing your schoolwork and your sports and extracurricular activities. You could be more like me, an adult who, works full time or in my case, freelance or contract work, but also has family and personal responsibilities or whatever the case may be. So, one of my biggest issues that I face, and that you might feel like too, is that I never seem to have as much time as I want to work on my games. So, hopefully, with doing this new process of sharing my game development process more regularly, I can hopefully give you some tips on how to fit more game development time into your schedule. And even if you're not in a situation where you have very little time. Maybe you're lucky and you actually have a lot of time. Hopefully, this can also help you see some of the messy details that go into the game development process because it can, when you're working on the game, it can look like a real mess, until you finish it up and get it to more of a point where it looks more polished and complete. So, let me go ahead and talk to you about this first game that I want to show you. It's called Don't Take the Cake, and it is something that I created in a few days for a game jam earlier this year. Okay, so if you're not familiar with what a game jam is, I'll explain it to you a little bit, and I'm going to give you this link too. All right, so a game jam, this link that I'm going to share with you, they describe it as an event. Let me go ahead and mute this. Okay, they describe it as an event where game developers come together to build a game based on a common theme and set of constraints. So usually you have a short amount of time to build a game from scratch with a given theme. So sometimes it can be 48 hours or 72 hours. In this case, the game jam was a week long, but of course, that week is also filled up with other things like work as well. So you might not always have the complete amount of time to work on a game. Okay, so that's the a little bit about what a game jam is. Um, the theme for this game jam was you only get one. So somehow in my game, I had to have only one of something. So for this game, your character is a bow and arrow wielding bunny who's protecting a picnic lunch from an invasion of bugs. You have little bunny towers that act as barriers to help you, and you can shoot arrows to pop the bugs and keep them from your food. So for each level, the goal is to hold off the bugs from reaching your one stack of pancakes that you have for a given amount of time. So you have other food too, but you got to protect the pancakes. That's the main thing. So that's why it's called Don't Take the Cakes. If you make the time limit, you win that level. If you hold off and protect the pancakes for that amount of time, you win. But if they take your pancakes, it's over. You also get one bug bomb that you can use per level to instantly wipe out all the bugs on the screen. All right, so this is my um, game. It's just the opening screen here. Um, it's got a little bit of an explanation, and this was made in a software tool called G Develop. All right. And I'll put a link to that as well. Um, it's a very beginner friendly game engine. So I'm a software engineer by profession. That's what I do for my work. So I like to think I'm pretty good at coding and I teach other people how to code. But one of the nice things about G Develop, especially if you are someone who is pressed for time and don't have a lot of time, is that you can quickly build games without writing a whole lot of code. And it also gives you a nice built-in little level editor where you can easily create your game objects and visually lay them out on the screen. So I've also been working on a project off and on, and another tool that does not have like a nice level editor. It's all pure C# code, and it can be a little bit more difficult as far as not being able to lay out your level like that. So if you're looking for a suggestion for a beginner-friendly game engine or something where you could make games relatively quickly, you might want to check out GDevelop. All right. So if we look at the instructions for the game, the controls are to move the mouse to aim your archer, the space bar or mouse button to click to shoot. Um, some of the instructions got cut off, and I'll talk more about that. But you also have to press enter for things in the game, particularly starting the game here. All right. So let's go ahead and just take a look now at the gameplay um, from when I submitted it to the jam. Okay, so I got my okay, yeah. So here I press enter. You get a little message telling you what to do. Press enter to start. Now note my the look and feel of some of this stuff because I want to talk about that. All right, now I got my you see the bugs start coming. Uh-oh, they got my pancakes. Okay, and you see I got my timer on the left side of the screen. Uh-oh. Okay, and you can see my barriers get smaller every time the bugs hit them, right? All right, so I can click or I can press the space bar. All right. I'm not doing a very good job here, but yeah, so it continues like that. Basically, each level you get different bugs that are trying to get your stuff, right? Okay. So the simple sort of gameplay. Um, so now you see a little bit about how the game works. So what I'm working on right now is really, like I said, this was something that was created in a few days. So now what I want to do is I want to improve and expand the game, and also make it mobile friendly, right? Um, so I kind of started doing that already. Um, so this version that I've showed you is the version that I submitted for the game jam. Um, and I also on the G Develop site, I have started uh, making changes to it. And this is where I said it looks messy when you're in the middle of it, because I still am very much in the middle of working on it. So I had to copy the project files and some things got lost. So some of it I'm rebuilding, but you can see I've started doing things like adding controls and in the editor, this button is not on top of the text, but when it shows up on the upload, the spacing changes and the button kind of overwrites some of the text. You'll also notice things like the spacing is off. Um, again, button is overwriting some things, but I have made an attempt to update with buttons and and change the color scheme a little bit. And now I am making it so that you don't have to press or tap the screen to shoot. It just automatically shoots, and you just move the mouse, or you can do touch screen, touch your finger to make your guy move. Okay. We still got like some enter commands, buttons, and stuff. We're going to work on that. And your bomb button, let me show that. Your bomb button, um, like I said, will get rid of the bugs on the screen, but you only get it once, right? So if I click that, so you can see I have started to make it more mobile friendly, but there's a lot of work to do, right? Okay, so that's what I'm going to be doing in a lot of this video series is to continue to work on this game. Like I said, I've got it on the G Develop site, and I'll continue to update um, the versions of it and continue to get feedback on it when I'm ready. But here's what I want you to think about when you're making your own games. You know, because this video is not just about me making my games; it's also about helping you. So, um, a couple of points I want to make. Like I said, initially the game was not mobile friendly, and right now it's kind of in a transition to being mobile friendly. Um, but if you're going to make a game that you want to have on mobile or on both like keyboard or regular computer, or like even maybe like an Xbox or something with a controller, but also mobile, you have to think about your player's platform, right? So think about things like the fact that if you have a keyboard, you have a lot more options for input because there's lots of buttons, right? And you can press combinations of buttons, and then you have a mouse. So, um, you have at least, I don't know how many keys are on this, maybe like 40 or 50 keys, different ways to get input. But on a touch screen, you really have a lot more restrictions. You basically have like screen tap, maybe like drag or like that pinch or whatever, but you're a lot more limited. So if you want to do something for mobile, you want to think about maybe you can do on-screen buttons or controls. Like I started showing you buttons you could tap, or maybe just cut down on the number of controls that your game needs. So you might have to rethink your design. Another thing, like I asked you to pay attention to sort of like how the message background and the text and stuff looks. So this game is not very polished. So, like the user interface, for example, and that's things like the buttons, the message backgrounds, the text, how the player interacts and views the game. They don't look so great, right? Now, don't get me wrong, the artwork is really nice. This it was done by an artist, by Game Art Guppy. I'll put the link so that you can see her site if you want. So it's not that. It's just that like a lot of the message backgrounds that I sort of cobbled together myself, and the buttons that I grabbed from like another um, asset pack, not Game Art Guppy, they don't really fit together. My text spacing is not good, and so on. So this was done in a few days for a game jam, and sometimes when you're more pressed for time, you can understand how you might cut some of those corners before a real release. One of the things I'm really going to have to work on is getting the look, feel, and overall polish together. And I'll talk more about that. All right, so those are some of the things that I'm going to be working on and showing in future iterations. So as you can see, I have a lot of work to do. And as a busy person with work and tons of other things to do, I really have to modify my expectations and realize that I will need to tackle this in small pieces with the time that I do have. So I might not be able to sit down and get this done in a week, because things happen, in life. Your day might be interrupted because somebody in the family is sick or you got to go take care of somebody, you know. But I'm gonna have to, even if that means I have to take a small step each day, which, like I said, that drives me nuts because I always feel like I should be getting more done. But I'm gonna have to really um, modify my expectations for how um, I expect to get this done. So one of the things that I like to do, and if you've ever read any of my stuff before, um, or seen any of my work, uh, you might know that I have talked about making a task list and then setting a timer for like 10 or 15 minutes and then focusing on tasks for that time window, right? So for me, I am like using a Windows computer, right? And I'll just show you like the little screenshot. Microsoft has a to-do app where you can just make a task list, right? And I made a task list for this game, and this is just like a screenshot of some of the things that I need to add, right? So yeah, um, that's something to think about, right? Um, and you can also get a timer if you have like an online timer or whatever the case may be. Just set it, like I said, for a couple minutes and just use that time frame to really focus on getting something done, right? Um, I really see a difference between when I don't follow this method and when I really buckle down and do follow that plan. So I feel like I'm much more effective when I actually follow through with the task list and the timers, um, as opposed to when I get when I get tired or burned out and I kind of fall off of it. Then that's when things really start to slip. All right. I also wrote about using that technique when I made my first game in 2014. And also, um, in 2014, I was also juggling work and other responsibilities, but was able to get things done faster, probably because I was a lot less burned out. But, this was also another method I used then. So I'll also link an article about using this technique for learning, but you can apply it here as well. Okay? So I think that's it for now. I hope this first video was helpful. So check back and I will continue working on this little project and hopefully providing helpful tips for you. All right. So thanks and I'll see you next time.